Al-Anfal, the spoils of war, is chapter 8 in the Quran. This Madinian chapter was revealed in the second year of Al-Hijrah, right after the first major military battle in Islam, the Battle of Badr. The surah focuses primarily on the Battle of Badr, which was between the Muslims and the pagans of Mecca. According to our worldly standards, the Muslims had no chance of winning this battle, given that they only had 313 soldiers and 1 horseman, versus 1,000 Qurayshi soldiers and 300 horsemen. However, Allah granted the Muslim army its first victory over Quraysh, even as they were vastly outnumbered. The surah is divided into 2 main parts. The first part emphasizes that any victory in battle is from Allah. Therefore, we must have complete trust in Him. The second part makes clear that we must still put in the work and take action to achieve victory. Through preparation, planning, exerting every effort, and leveraging every resource we have to be victorious. The chapter is named The Spoils of War because the Muslims were asking Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about the distribution of wealth gained from the spoils of war right after their victory in Badr. Allah would reveal this surah to let them know that the spoils of war are worldly matters, and what's important to focus on is how you approach battle and where victory comes from. Allah would address their question about the distribution of the spoils of war later in the chapter in verse 41. Instead, Allah begins the chapter with يسألونك عن الأنفال قل الأنفال لله والرسول فاتقوا الله وأصلحوا ذات بينكم وأطيعوا الله ورسوله إن كنتم مؤمنين. They ask you, O Prophet, regarding the spoils of war. Say, their distribution is decided by Allah and His Messenger, so be mindful of Allah. Settle your affairs and obey Allah and His Messenger if you are true believers. Allah then describes to them who the true believers are. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. The true believers are only those whose hearts tremble at the remembrance of Allah, whose faith increases when His revelations are recited to them, and who put their trust in their Lord. الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. They are those who establish prayer and donate from what we have provided for them. أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. It is they who are the true believers. They will have elevated ranks, forgiveness, and honorable provisions from their Lord. Allah would then highlight in the first part of this chapter how He helped Muslims achieve victory in Badr. A large trade caravan from Quraysh was returning from Syria on its way back to Mecca. The Muslims were scouting this caravan and knew it would be passing by the valley of Badr, not too far from Medina. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, led an army of 313 men towards Badr, as he had planned to intercept this caravan on its way back to Mecca. Abu Sufyan, a Meccan chief who was leading the caravan, got word of the Muslims' plan to ambush them, so he sent messengers to Mecca to alert them and call for reinforcements. Quraysh saw this as an opportunity to attack the Muslims and raised an army of 1,000 men and 300 horsemen and began heading towards the valley of Badr. So even though the intention of the Muslim army was to intercept Quraysh's caravan, Allah would set in motion the circumstances for this small Muslim army to come face to face with a Meccan army 3 times its size. Allah would remind the Prophet and the believers of these circumstances. كما أخرجك ربك من بيتك بالحق وإن فريقا من المؤمنين لكارهون. Similarly, when your Lord brought you, O Prophet, out of your home for a just cause, a group of believers was totally against it. يجادلونك في الحق بعدما تبين كأنما يساقون إلى الموت وهم ينظرون. They disputed with you about the truth after it had been made clear, as if they were being driven to death with their eyes wide open. Remember, O believers, when Allah promised to give you the upper hand over either target. You wished to capture the unarmed party, but it was Allah's will to establish the truth and uproot the disbelievers, to firmly establish the truth and wipe out falsehood, even to the dismay of the wicked. Secondly, Allah prepared them physically and mentally before their battle. Remember when He caused drowsiness to overcome you, giving you serenity, and He sent down rain from the sky to purify you, free you from Satan's whispers, strengthen your hearts, and make your steps firm. Third, Allah then increased their morale by making them think that they were not much less in numbers than the disbelievers. Remember, O Prophet, when Allah showed them in your dream as few in number. Had He showed them to you as many, you believers would have certainly faltered and disputed in the matter. But Allah spared you from that. Surely He knows best what is hidden in the heart. Then when your armies met, Allah made them appear as few in your eyes, and made you appear as few in theirs, so Allah may establish that He had destined. And to Allah all matters will be returned for judgment. Fourth, Allah sent down angels to help them. Remember when you cried out to your Lord for help, He answered, I will reinforce you with 1,000 angels, followed by many others. Remember, O Prophet, when your Lord revealed to the angels, I am with you, so make the believers stand firm. I will cast horror into the hearts of the disbelievers, so strike their necks and strike their fingertips. Fifth, the timing and the location of each army on the battlefield were also set forth by Allah. Allah reminded the Muslims how they were initially chasing the caravan of Abu Sufyan, which brought them to the valley of Badr in the first place. Had they not been after the caravan, the timing of their arrival at the valley of Badr would not have perfectly coincided with the arrival of the pagan army, and they would have missed each other. But Allah willed that both armies come to the same valley at the same time. Also, the side of the valley that the Muslim army entered from is Udwat al-Dunya, while the side the Qurayshi army came in from is Udwat al-Quswa. Both types of land were very different. When it rained before the battle, the land the Muslim army stood on became firmer to stand on, while the land the pagans stood on became softer and more difficult to move on. Finally, Allah makes it clear to the Muslims that they may have fought and struck the disbelievers in battle, but it is Allah who brought death upon them. He also reminded Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that when he threw a handful of sand from afar in the direction of the disbelievers, it is Allah who made the sand reach the eyes and mouths of every disbeliever standing in battle. It was not you believers who killed them, but it was Allah who did so. Nor was it you, O Prophet, who threw a handful of sand at the disbelievers, but it was Allah who did so, rendering the disbelievers a great favor. Surely Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. This becomes the primary message in the second part of the surah, when Allah emphasizes the importance of doing anything and everything you are able to do to fight and defeat your enemy. وَأَعِدُّ لَهُم مَّا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ. Prepare against them what you believers can of military power and cavalry, not for the sake of shedding blood and killing them, but only to fight them off and prevent them from harming you. تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوُّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ. To deter Allah's enemies and your enemies. Allah would then remind Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in verses 65 and 66, what determines an army's readiness to fight. Their strength is not measured in their numbers, the size of their cavalry, or the weapons they possess, but instead it's in their steadfastness and patience as believers. 100 believers will overcome 200, and 1,000 will overcome 2,000 by Allah's will. Allah stands with those who are steadfast in their belief. Allah would end the surah by completing His description of the true believers that He shared in the beginning of the surah. Those who believed, migrated, and struggled in the cause of Allah, and those who gave them shelter and help, they are the true believers. They will have forgiveness and an honorable provision. Allah would also put an end to a previous ruling that allowed inheritance between the Muslim migrants from Mecca and the Muslim Ansar from Medina. Now only blood relatives can inherit from one another. And those who later believed, migrated, and struggled alongside you, they are also with you. but only blood relatives are now entitled to inherit from one another, as ordained by Allah. Surely Allah has full knowledge of everything. Help us create more videos by visiting our website today and contributing to our mission and project. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to access more videos and content.